As you likely already know, the economy is, and video games usually aren't your first financial priority. But luckily for us, we are living in the free-to-play game golden era. Since I have the blessings of the gods of fate and time, I'm creating this series as a way to help people find out about free games of all different genres to help distract themselves with as the world continues to burn. Welcome to the free-to-play game review. And if I do this right, maybe you'll learn something new or find a new favorite little game to play. So let's get started. This week we will be taking a look at Grimm's Hollow. So Grimm's Hollow is an adventure RPG developed by Ghost Hunter and released for free on Halloween in 2019. I think it's also important to note right off the bat that this game was made with RPG Maker 2003 for all my budding game developers out there. When selecting this title, Grimm's Hollow didn't only have great reviews, it had a very specific and unique aesthetic that drew me in as well. On the game's Steam page, you're immediately met with a delightful Reaper party scene. I was very taken with their little skull faces, as well as this ominous and magical violet hue over everything. There's a certain kind of courage that I think indie game developers possess that's completely unrivaled by big game studios. I can't think of many AAA titles that are brave enough to release a game with such stylistic choices like this. After all, then the game wouldn't truly be that appealing to the mass audience, right? Now, personally, I don't think that that's true, but I think it's worth noting and thinking about. So, prior to playing and completing this game, I couldn't find any additional information about the development, but after beating it once, I felt driven to start seeking out some answers. So I stumbled upon this neat little RPGmaker.net article interview with Ghost Hunter that helped shed some more light on the development questions that I had. So Grimm's Hollow took Ghost Hunter about a year to complete, and if I'm reading this line correctly, Ghost Hunter was in high school while creating it. That's great. I didn't do anything in high school except get into trouble, so I really commend them on their motivation and drive to complete a project like this. There's a lot of really great information about Ghost Hunter's creative process in this article, so instead of me reading it off and making this video longer than it needs to be, if this game interests you, I suggest you take a look at the article itself. There will be a link in the description. I'll likely reference a few more answers as we go through each review category though, so you'll get a little bit of it throughout this. But before I start, I wanted to say that as a lifelong fan of RPGs, and especially RPGs that look like this, I really enjoyed this game. I only completed the game once, but I know that I'll start over again soon and try for another ending. I would say that this is likely a great game to play with a group of friends on a chilly autumn night, best enjoyed alongside some warm mugs of oolong tea and donuts, or in my case, the more pedestrian muffin. So, let's begin. How free is it? Well, Grimm's Hollow is completely free. You'll be as surprised as I was if you played it, or if you plan on playing it. If you love the game, you can buy this little fan pack on Steam that includes art, developer notes, bonus pictures, wallpapers, and the creator's heart inside. I think that's a really good deal, especially after experiencing the game in full, but besides that, completely free to play, no hidden or secretly necessary costs. On to playability. So I gave it, 5 out of 5. I don't know this for sure, but I imagine people who don't play turn-based RPGs are put off by how boring they might feel the battle mechanics to be. Well, there's a reason this turn-based RPG is getting full hearts for its playability. Not only are the overworld controls simple and classic enough for anyone to enjoy, not only are there multiple endings feeding into the game's replayability, but the turn-based battle system is fun and engaging, as the battle itself relies on these little QTEs to attack and dodge. At first, I thought maybe this would get a little old or annoying, but no, Ghost Hunter obviously loves games dearly since there's such a range of enemies with varying strengths and weaknesses that you'll have to consistently adapt and rework your moves in a way that actually deals proper damage. Another thing that stood out to me was how well the battles scaled to the progress of the game. Level scaling is nothing new, of course, but the way Grimm's Hollow does it is really unique, I think. Each dungeon and each dungeon's floor requires the player to be constantly upgrading their skills and paying attention to the kinds of enemies that spawn to know where their spirit points should be spent. This little spirit skill tree keeps the game fun and keeps the player invested, and I love a well-designed menu screen, but that is not for this section. Grimm's Hollow stays fresh for the 2 to 3 hours it'll take you to complete the game, and I'm sure I haven't fully experienced the gameplay until I've unlocked the entire tree, but I wanted to get a basic sense and first impressions before I 100%ed it. So moving on to the soundtrack, voice acting, and audio. Yeah, you might be noticing a trend here. As I said before, I really liked this game. In order for me to really love a game, however, it has to have excellent music, and Grimm's Hollow does not disappoint. Links to the composers' websites will also be in the description. So, the original soundtrack for Grimm's Hollow was composed by 2 creators, Nat Bird and Bruno Buglisi, and you can purchase the album on Bandcamp for about $15 Australian. So Nat Bird operates out of Australia and Bruno out of Argentina. Oh, and I forgot to mention that Ghost Hunter is based out of the Middle East. So let's not forget that Grimm's Hollow is a global creation. That is so cool. I truly love the internet for reasons like this. This is what I think happens when the web is working as intended. So I did not expect the music to be this good. I did not. These songs are catchy, memorable, and they're incredibly easy to listen to on repeat. The 1.5 minute long song on repeat is the butter of RPGs, and you usually spend so much time in the battle screens or certain maps. These songs need to do a lot of different things. The battle music has to keep you motivated and determined. It has to give you the power you need to get through the fight, or, make you question why you're fighting at all. Each cave has its own battle music as well, and I think also the 2 bosses, I think there's 2 technically. But yeah, it's something that you really just have to experience for yourself. But you could easily listen to an upload of the full soundtrack if you don't have time to start a new game. Let it be known that the titles might teeter on the edge of spoilery, so if you care about spoilers, just play the game first. The soundtrack swings between moody, ambient, dark, bright, upbeat, heavenly, sorrowful, and bleak tones. It's really good. You'll feel everything. I want to quickly run back to the interview with Ghost Hunter here just to pedestal this comment of theirs. When I first started working on the game, there weren't any plans for custom sound since I still thought of Grimm's Hollow as a tester-first project. But when I finally started to look for free music libraries, a lot of it didn't seem to suit the game's style or mood of the cutscene. Even if I did find a matching track in terms of tone and length, the next issue was consistency, having too many clashing musical genres. I didn't want the effort I put into the battles, artwork, and cutscenes to suffer from poor background music choice, and it dawned on me that the sound I was looking for was very specific. I realized commissioning music would be a good decision, and it would mean I would get to spend more time working on other aspects of the game. So I'm just gonna read that line again. I didn't want the effort I put into the battles, artwork, and cutscenes to suffer from poor background music choice. Yeah, exactly. That is such a noble thought. So anyway, let's move on. The sound effects are great too. There is no voice acting, but you create your own voices for the characters in your head, and sometimes that's a better decision anyway. So I won't tell anyone which track I've been playing on repeat, but if you somehow guess it correctly on your first try, I'll let you pick one of the upcoming free-to-play review games. So actually there's 2 songs, so I guess it'll be okay if you guess either one of those 2. That makes it even easier. You have a 10% chance of getting it right just by pure randomness. So anyway, let's move on. Nothing is perfect in this world, and I was going to be a lot more harsh with the story and concept until I learned a little bit more about the developer. Sometimes we have to take the other party's experiences into account when passing our judgment. I mean this with respect and love, but one of the thoughts that I had when playing was, I would have really resonated with this story when I was younger. So I'm gonna let high school Leon judge the story and concept. So I love the concept of searching for your little brother in the afterlife. I love sibling stories. I have lots of siblings, so I find it a bit easier to put myself in the protagonist's position when they're dealing with family issues. However, the game does eventually go a bit deeper, no spoilers, and I felt like I would have really vibed with and understood where Lavender was coming from when talking about her family had I been a bit younger and still in a situation like that. Anyway, again, I won't spoil anything, but there's actually quite a few lines in the game that I think actually present some really intense feelings of like self-hatred and depression that a lot of adolescents experience. It's earnest and sincere in its delivery, and it doesn't come across as cheesy or contrived at all. Specifically, I'd like to highlight this scene where Lavender says, "Purple. I hate the color purple. I wish I didn't have to see it every day." Miss, your name is purple. I really like stuff like this. Obviously, the viewer is able to extract whatever meaning they want from the media, but I don't know. Maybe it says more about me than not, but I think maybe this is a clue as to why Lavender had to become a Reaper and not just pass on right at death. There's also a surprising amount of character development in the story, and even some unexpected twists. I think it was really well done overall. So, the art is, as you may remember, what drew me in above everything else. It's really beautiful. It has this kind of murkiness to it. It has this really stylish darkness that I'm usually rather drawn to. It combines cute and creepy so seamlessly that even Kuromi would be jealous. It also combines a very old school RPG pixel look with these very modern, brushy, paint-like backgrounds. It's really a visual treat. It feels so dreamlike. Each cave has its own color, and in a sense, you move throughout the colors in this really cool way. The first cave is this reddish purple, and then the next one is a little bit more bluish purple, and the next one's totally red, and finally you end up in this colorless world. I love that progression. I think I've stated this before, but the less detail you have, the more stylistic choices you have to make to keep the viewer engaged. Ghost Hunter has clearly a very keen artistic eye and a very personal style that's immediately picked up by the player, and I think that these shifting aesthetics keep you invested and guessing as the game progresses. There isn't much to say because I've been sprinkling in my admiration for the visuals throughout the review already, so yeah, it looks and feels incredible. It's a truly unique experience. All the pieces harmonize in perfect unison. So yeah, overall, a really high score. 4.9 hearts. The heart doesn't lie, you know. This is a very sweet and captivating little game, and I think it'll intrigue even gamers who don't like the RPG format. I was very pleased with this title, and I think it'll remain a valuable gem in my library for years to come. It's something I'm excited to show others, and I really think it'll age gracefully as time moves forward. I've said about as much as I can say without spoiling it. So yeah, what do you all think of Grimm's Hollow? I was really caught off guard by how good it was, you know? Coming into this game, I was like, oh, it looks really good. I'm excited to play a tiny RPG. I don't get to do that a lot. So yeah, I thought like it would be kind of standard or whatever, but there's a surprisingly like huge amount of care and love that I think went into making this game. And I think you would only know that, you know, like you can probably, I don't know, maybe you can see by looking at it. I thought it was really cool to like pick up like a little free little game and then immediately kind of, I don't know, like not only was I excited to keep playing, I took a couple breaks because I feel like kind of after each cave I needed like a second or whatever to kind of like reset, and the game has that built in too. Like you get these little like, you get basically like little conversations in between each of them, but I felt like I even needed like a little bit more time to process what had happened or whatever too. I thought it was really cool. Games like this, I think, are the reason kind of that I'm making this series. Like, I'm really excited to find more games that I feel this strongly about, and I'm pretty sure that I will. Like, Grimm's Hollow gives me a lot of hope for a lot of these free-to-play titles that I've picked out. So, yeah, what do you think? Have you played it before? It seems like a lot of people have, which I think is really cool. And yeah, I guess there's multiple endings. That's kind of what I got from like the comments in a bunch of different regions, and also like from Ghost Hunter themselves in this article, like interview article. So yeah, I'm actually pretty excited to try and get a couple more endings. But anyway, thank you so much for joining me. So I'm gonna wrap this up, but next time on the free-to-play game review, I will be inviting my dating sim demons back to assist me in reviewing Our Life Beginnings and Always. This is another highly rated free-to-play game available through Steam and maybe elsewhere, but I don't know, I'm just using Steam in the App Store to look for games right now, so yeah, not 100% sure. I'll go over that in the review video itself. So yeah, thank you. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for watching. Thanks for all of your support and everything, as always. Let me know what you think about Grimm's Hollow. I had a lot of fun playing it. I thought it was so cool. The battle system is so fun. I don't know. I don't want to gush about it for too long because I kind of want to keep all these videos the same length, but I could probably talk about it for a while, so let me know if you have any questions, and yeah, I will see you next week. Thank you so much. Goodbye.